You wake up some mornings, and everything feels heavier than it should. The bed feels harder to leave. The list of things you're supposed to want to do just sits there, untouched, unwanted. You call it a bad day. Maybe you call it depression. Either way, you assume it's a modern problem, a symptom of a world that moves too fast and asks too much. But the real answer is far stranger. Your ancestors felt this too, tens of thousands of years before therapy, before antidepressants, before anyone had a word for it. And some scientists now think that feeling wasn't a malfunction. It was a message. Let's go back. Not to last year, not to your grandparents. Back to a small band of humans on the African savanna 60,000 years ago. No calendars. No concept of a bad quarter at work. Just a tight group of 30 or 40 people who depend on each other for everything. Food. Safety. Belonging. In that world, what happens when you lose your place in the group? Here's where it gets strange. Evolutionary psychiatrist Randolph Nesse has spent decades asking a simple but uncomfortable question. If depression is so miserable, why hasn't evolution deleted it? Pain has a purpose. Fear has a purpose. Nesse's answer is that low mood might work the same way. Not a broken brain. A brain doing exactly what it was built to do. In a situation where doing nothing was, strangely, the smart move. Think about it like this. Your body evolved a fever to fight infection. It's uncomfortable, but it's useful. Nesse argues that emotional pain might follow the same rule. When your ancestor lost status in the tribe, or failed at something important, or grieved a death, a temporary shutdown could actually help. Low energy, low motivation, less interest in taking risks. In a small, dangerous world, pulling back and going quiet could mean not wasting energy on a plan that was already failing. Could mean not challenging someone stronger and getting hurt. Could mean waiting, watching, surviving. That idea alone should stop you for a second. What if the heaviness you feel isn't your brain failing you? What if it's an ancient setting, tripped in the wrong environment? Because here's the twist within the twist. In 2009, researchers Paul Andrews and J. Anderson Thompson published a theory that pushed this even further. They called it the Analytical Rumination Hypothesis. Their claim was almost unbelievable. Depression, they argued, doesn't just shut you down. It forces your mind into a narrow, obsessive kind of thinking, replaying a problem again and again, cutting off distractions, sacrificing sleep and appetite, so your brain can focus entirely on one unsolved question. Why did this happen? What do I do now? Andrews and Thompson suggested this wasn't dysfunction. It was an emergency mode for solving complex social problems, the kind your ancestors faced constantly. Who betrayed me? Who do I trust now? How do I survive this loss? Doesn't that reframe things? The racing, looping thoughts that feel like torture today may be the exact same machinery your ancestors used to untangle a life or death social crisis. The tool didn't disappear. The crises just changed shape. Consider what a complex social problem actually looked like 60,000 years ago. It wasn't an email left unanswered. It was a question that decided whether you ate this season. Did the group leader still trust you after that failed hunt? Was the alliance with the neighboring band still solid, or was it quietly falling apart? Had a rival started spreading doubt about you around the fire while you slept? These weren't abstract worries. They were survival calculations, and getting them wrong could mean exile, and exile, for a lone human on the savannah, usually meant death. Andrews and Thompson's theory suggests the brain evolved a drastic setting for exactly these moments. Shut down the noise. Cancel the distractions. Sacrifice comfort, sleep, even appetite, and burn every remaining resource on solving the one problem that actually mattered. That would explain something almost every person who has experienced depression recognizes immediately. The strange, specific focus of it. Not scattered sadness, but a mind that circles one wound relentlessly, examining it from every angle, unable to let go until it finds an answer, or until it burns out trying. But if this mood system was so useful, why does it feel like modern depression is everywhere? Why does it seem worse now, not better? This is where anthropologist Edward Hagen's research becomes essential. Hagen has spent years studying depression not as a purely internal illness, but as a kind of social signal, one aimed outward. In some of his work on postpartum depression, he proposed something called the bargaining model. A mother's depressed mood, he suggested, could act as an honest signal to her partner and her community. A signal that says, I need more support, and I am not getting it. It's uncomfortable to think about, but in small ancestral groups, where survival depended on shared resources and shared childcare, a visible, undeniable low mood could pull help toward the person who needed it most. Hagen's model doesn't stop at new mothers. Extend the logic outward, and it starts to explain something bigger. A withdrawn, visibly struggling person in a small ancestral band was impossible to ignore. There was no private bedroom to disappear into, no door to close. Your low mood played out in public, in front of people who depended on you and who you depended on right back. Withdrawal wasn't quiet. It was loud, in its own way, and it demanded a response, because an unsupported member of the group was a threat to everyone's survival, not just their own. Now picture that signal in a modern city. You're not surrounded by 30 relatives who share food and childcare. You might be alone in an apartment, scrolling a phone, disconnected from the very network this signal evolved to summon. The alarm still goes off, but almost nobody's left to hear it. Worse, the private nature of modern life means the signal can run for weeks, even years, without a single person noticing it was ever switched on. That's the mismatch. Your ancestors' minds were calibrated for a world of constant, visible social contact. Every low mood had an audience. Every retreat was noticed by someone who could step in. Strip away that tribe, that daily physical closeness, that guarantee of being seen, and the same ancient signal starts firing into silence. Anthropologists studying modern hunter-gatherer societies, groups like the Hadza in Tanzania, have noted something else striking. Rates of reported severe depressive symptoms in these tightly bonded, high-contact societies tend to look different from the numbers we see in industrialized nations. Researchers don't all agree on why, and isolating cause from culture is messy work. But the pattern keeps showing up. Less isolation, different mood outcomes. It's not proof of anything simple. It's a clue. Now widen the lens even further, past the last few thousand years, into the deep evolutionary past your body still remembers. For most of human history, a person was rarely, if ever, physically alone. You slept beside other bodies. You ate beside other bodies. You worked, argued, grieved, and healed beside other bodies. Your nervous system developed inside that constant physical chorus. It expected touch. It expected eye contact. It expected someone within arm's reach who would notice if you stopped eating, stopped talking, stopped showing up. That expectation didn't fade just because the environment changed. Your biology is slow, painfully slow. It took millions of years to build the wiring for trust, for group bonding, for reading a friend's face across a fire. Compare that to how fast the last 200 years have moved. Villages became cities. Extended families became nuclear ones, then scattered across time zones. The fire became a phone screen, and the faces around it became notifications instead of people. Your ancestors' minds had generations to adjust to slow change. Yours has had decades to adjust to something closer to whiplash. So which is it? Is depression a broken circuit, or a working alarm going off in the wrong century? The honest answer scientists give you now is both, and neither, cleanly. Nesse himself has been careful to say that not all depression is adaptive. Severe, chronic depression can absolutely become its own dangerous, self-perpetuating problem, disconnected from any useful signal at all. But the baseline capacity for low mood, for that heavy, quiet, withdrawing feeling, appears to be ancient, built in, present long before cities, before jobs, before screens, which means the switch in your brain that dims the lights on a hard day isn't new technology. It's inherited hardware, running software it was never designed for. Think about your ancestor again, sitting at the edge of the firelight after losing a hunt, after a fight with someone in the group, after a death. Their body slowed down. Their appetite dropped. Their mind looped on the same painful question over and over. And within days, someone noticed. Someone sat beside them. Someone brought food, or comfort, or simply presence. The system worked because the tribe was built to answer it. Now think about a Tuesday night in your own life. The lights are off except for a screen. Nobody's checking in because nobody knows. The signal fires exactly like it always has. But the world that used to answer it has mostly moved online, moved apart, moved into separate rooms and separate lives. So no, this feeling did not start with your generation. It didn't start with modern stress, or social media, or the pace of city life. Those things didn't invent the switch. They just changed what happens after it's flipped. Your ancestors carried the exact same wiring across ice ages, famines, and migrations that should have erased it if it were truly useless. It survived because, somewhere back there, it worked. That's worth sitting with. Natural selection is ruthless about deleting anything that doesn't earn its keep. A trait this costly, this uncomfortable, this disruptive to eating, sleeping, and functioning should have vanished generations ago if it served no purpose at all. Instead, it persisted generation after generation, band after band, all the way down to you. Not because suffering is good, but because, for most of human history, the suffering was heard. Tonight, when that heaviness shows up, when the bed feels too hard to leave and the list feels too long to face, remember what you now know. This is not proof that something is wrong with you. It might be proof of something far older.